Hey friends, welcome back. Now we are going to continue our MERN Stack series, and this is our e-commerce project. In the last video we have created product API, so we can add the product and we can fetch the product. Now in this video we are going to create cart API, so we can add product into the cart. Like users or customers who wants to buy something, they can add product into the cart and they can proceed to checkout, right? So for that we are going to create cart API. So let me open the project and everything. So this is our project folder, and let's open this in Git Bash. Here we are going to say ls, and let's navigate to the MERN, and let me increase the font size so you can see the better. Okay, let me increase and we'll say MERN backend ls. Let's open the project in the VS Code. So this is our project and this is our product model. So let me close everything so we can start from fresh, right? So this is our src folder. Let's update few things before going to continue. So here we have a controller and here we have auth.js, and you can see a user can sign up, right? And user can sign in also. Here we have added a payload while creating the token, right? So here we are saying underscore ID, user underscore ID, right? So here we are not adding the role, but we have added in the admin API. So here also we need to add. So we are going to say role, and here we are going to say user dot role, save. And in the admin API we have already added that thing, right? So role and user role. Let's save. That's all. So let's continue, and let me first create the model database schema. So let me create the cart model file cart.js, and here it is. So let's copy everything from the category and let's paste over here. Now let's change the name. It is going to be the cart schema, and let's copy this and let's paste over here. Let's change the name of your collection. So it is going to be the cart, right? Or you can write like that, cart. So ultimately it is going to produce carts, okay? And let's remove all of these things. It is not required, and timestamps true is required, right? So here we are going to, so for the users like or the customers who is going to buy something, so based on that we are going to add the products into the cart. So for that we need a user ID. First thing, here we are going to write user, and let's specify the type. So again it is going to be a mongoose object ID type, mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID, and reference. So this is a foreign key, like, and so here we are going to say user, and also this is required. Okay, that's true. Now next item we are going to add, that is, so user ID we have, and once we have the user ID we can create cart, right? So we'll say cart items. So one user can buy multiple products, so it is going to be an array, so we can store the multiple products. Okay, so let's say it is going to be an object, and here we are going to store the product, right? So we'll not store the product, we'll store the product ID. So again it is going to be a foreign key. So we are actually creating the linking. In SQL database it is foreign key or for relationship, and here it is linking. Okay, so let me write mongoose dot schema dot types dot object ID. So it's too big, right? Reference is going to be a product table, so product collection actually, and required is also true in this case, right? So we'll say required true, right? Now here next thing what is going to need, so we have product ID and quantity. So default it is going to be 1, type is going to be a number, and default, so at least one product needs to be available here. Default 1, also it is required true, and it is, if default value is 1, then definitely it is going to be 1 if you're not adding the quantity, so we don't need to mention required. Okay, and here next thing is quantity and then price. So price we are taking, and because in future the price of the product may vary from time to time, or discounts and all, right? So we'll say the price, it is again going to be the type and number, and also this required item is true. Okay, so product, quantity and price, and we can calculate the total price, right? So that's enough, we have added over here, so user ID and card items, right? Now let's save this and let's create the controller, or before that let's create the routes. So let's go to the routes folder and let's create a file. Here we are going to say cart.js, and now let's go to the category, let's copy everything and now let's paste over here. So here we are going to say controller file, that is going to be the cart. Now let's create the file controller. So here we are going to create, we'll say cart.js, right? And let's go back to your cart.js file routes, and here let's remove get categories and add categories, because it is cart, so we are going to add the cart, not we are going to add item into the cart, right? So require sign is okay, admin no, not admin, this time it is going to be user middleware, right? So only customers can add product into the cart, other users what they will do, right? So the customer needs to add item into the cart. And here what we are going to see, the router post category create, require sign in, and here we are going to say user middleware instead of admin, right? And instead of add category we are going to say the add item to cart, right? So let's save, let's paste, let's import the function. We haven't written that function yet. Now let's remove this second one, and here category, instead of category we are going to say user /cart /add to cart. So you can write anything like that, you can write like that, user cart add to cart, or you can also say the user cart create. So it sounds not very good to me, so we'll say add to cart, okay? Or you can say add to cart is fine, right? So you user cart add to cart, and let's go to your cart.js file, and here we are going to write the function. So we'll say exports dot add item to cart, and let's take the request and then response and then process the function. Okay, so let's save, and now let's import few things like cart const. So I say the cart equals to require, it is going to be a controller, a models, and then it is going to be a cart, right? Cart, and then we can add the cart item. So let's check first it's working or not. So res.json, and here we'll say the message, and that is cart. Let's save. So we are going to verify this is working or not. So cart, and let's go to your routes file. So routes file cart, and let's add this to your index.server file. Okay, so here we are going to create a duplicate and say cart routes, and here we are going to say cart. Now let's go down and let's add this one also, so API, and here we are going to say cart routes, right? Let's save. Now let's go to the Postman. Before that, let's start the server, npm start. Okay, server is running on port 2000, database is also connected. Now let's go to the Postman, and now let's fetch the categories, and you can see we have got the categories, so it's working well, right? Now let's create a new tab, and here we are going to say localhost :2000 and API, and what rest is, so it is user cart add to cart. So let's go to the Postman and we'll say user cart add to cart. Okay, now header. So let's make it a post request. Now let's sign in. This is API sign in, and let me add the email. Here I'm going to say our email is res@webscript. So this is actually the customer ID, res@webscript.info and password. Okay, now let's send the request and we have got a new token, right? Let's copy this token. Now let's go to your cart API headers. Now let's add authorization with the key bearer, paste over here. Now let's send the request and you can see the message card. So it worked successfully. It means it also verified like this customer is logged in, okay, because you have added a require sign in and user middleware, right? And now let's continue our controller file. So let's card.js and let's remove this rest.json. Here what we're gonna do, so we need something like user ID. So we are getting user ID from the request and we need the cart, right? So let's create const and here we're going to say the cart equals to new cart, and here we are going to say that is going to be first is going to be the user that is request.user._id. So that's a user ID, that's basically the customer ID. And then next thing we need cart and items, cart items, right? So you can verify it from the model. You can see a cart and here it is cart items. Okay, so this is going to be an array request.body.cart items, right? So save it. Now let's execute this, save this file cart.save. So this is our save function and this is our error. If there is any error, then we are going to send this status with 400 and error message, and if it executes successfully saved in the record, so we are going to return what actually we saved. Okay, now let's check this API, add item to cart. Now let's go to your Postman API, and so here we have authorization. Let's go to the body, and okay, that's a body, and here add to cart, and headers is fine, body, and let's select the raw and add a header application/JSON, and here we're going to say, yeah, that's a user. First we need user ID. So actually we don't need user ID, we are going to get the user ID from the request itself, right? So once we have the token, we can decode the token and we can get the user, so we don't need to send the user ID, right? So we are only going to send the cart items. Here we have the cart items, and this is going to be an array, right? So we can add the multiple items, and now let's add the items. So here we are going to add the product. So let's make a key value pair, and now let's select product. So we have products, and this is we have added as a product, right? So this is the product ID. Let's see how we can get the ID. So let's copy the product ID. So this is what we are going to add. So let's go to the Postman again and paste your ID. So this is the product ID. Another thing is we need to add the quantity. So you can add 1 or 2, by default is 1, and so you can add like that. And let's add the price also. So price, we know the price is actually 7,000, right? So let's add 7,000, right? And now let's send the request. You can only add one item at a time, right? So there is no way to add multiple at the same time. So, okay, so let's send the request, and you can see we have got a response cart, and we have got the cart ID. We have got user also, so this is totally fine. Now we have got cart items. What we have added, this is the cart, this is the quantity of the cart, this is the product. So this is a foreign key, right? So this is the product what we have added. So this is actually this one, right? So yeah, that is correct. And this is created and updated at, so these things we have added, right? So what is going to happen if you send this request again, right? So let's see, if you send this request again, and you can check in your this is added one more time, you can check in your database. Okay, let's refresh, and here you can see we have got a carts collection, click on the cards collection. So here you can see we have added the same product for the same user 2 times. You can see the user ID, you can compare these two user IDs same, and the product added is also same. First of all, we don't need to have multiple carts, right? One user can have only one cart and he can add multiple products. Like he can add 2 products, 3 or 4 products. A single cart is enough. There is no need to have multiple carts. Technically it is impossible, right? So one user, one cart and multiple products. So first of all, we have to restrict this problem. So let's go and write a condition over here. So here we are going to say cart, and we'll say a cart.save, right? So here we're going to use cart.find. Okay, now let's check if user ID already exists, means cart is already created for the user. There is no need to add a new cart. So we'll say user request dot user dot underscore ID. So this is going, if this is going to match, means cart already exists. Now let's execute this, and here we are going to say error and then cart, right? And here we are going to check if error, we'll return this. Now if cart, so this cart is an array, right? So you can use a function of find one. So it will give you a one result only, else it will give you an array. So right now this card is an object, right? So you can see this card is an object, else you can add a new product. If this cart if this object is empty, then it is going to be false, means there is no cart, and you can execute your rest of the code. So let's go and paste over here, save, and else case you can return the item, right? We'll say res.status 200.json, and here we are going to say let's say message and cart just for the moment, right? So now let's save, and now let's go to the Postman. So here add to cart, let's send the request, and you can see we have got a message, right? Instead of adding a new product, we have got the message. So it is not adding the new product, rather it is returning a message like the cart, right? So here we can write our rest of the code like cart is already exists, then what we have to do. So actually if cart already exists, we have to update the cart, right? If cart already exists, then update cart by quantity. If cart not exist, then create a new cart, right? So this is how it is going to work. Now let's comment this code, save, and here, so let's save, and what I'll do, so let me delete these two. Okay, so let's skip one. Okay, fine. Now let's go to the Postman, and now let's send the request. Okay, we are not getting any response back because we are not returning it. As you can see, I have commented it, but yeah, we are not creating we are not creating the same item again. So here what we have to do, we have to update the cart. For that we are going to use a function cart dot find one and update. So let me tell you what this function does. It will first find the item and then it will update the item, right? So it works based on the condition. Let me show you the documentation if you are interested to know more about it. Mongoose, and let me open this, read the docs. Here you can see find one and update. So here it is, find one and update. So here you can see the query, how this works. This is find one and update. First argument is the condition. So first argument is about like select the record and then update the record. The rest two is optional. As you can see, this is working fine, right? So options and callback, if we'll discuss later about it. Now let's go, and here we are going to write our condition first. So let's first find the record because cart already exists. So we'll say, so we are going to say user, and here we are going to say request dot user dot underscore id. So this is actually going to search this. Let me show you. So this is going to search this collection, and it will search based on this user ID, right? If this user ID is matching, then it will give me this data to update, right? So here you can see, let me show you. So here what we are going to do, this is an array, and we are going to push a new item, right, into the cart items because that's an array. So let's first achieve this. We are going to achieve this in a simple steps. Okay, final result will be awesome. So here we're going to say dollar and dollar push. So this is going to push. This is how we push the record in a sub collection, right? So let's give it an array, and here we are going to say name of the key. So this is cart items. So here we're going to say cart items, and again this is going to be an object. So this is actually what we want. So this is going to be an object, right? So we'll say here request dot body dot cart items, and if you see, this is an array again. So this is an array, and instead of sending this like that, you can send not an array but just like an object. Let's remove this, and let's remove this, and let's add it like that. Okay. Okay, let's remove. Now let's go to the VS Code, and here we're going to say request.body.cart items, right? Save, and here we are going to say request.body.cart items. So this is going to be an array, right? Because we thought it's an array. Save. Now let's run this code. Okay, now let's see the result, what we are going to get. So let's see, and this is the quantity 1, and let's send the request. And okay, we are not sending back any request, so actually we have to execute our code. Let's go to your Postman. Now let's send the request, and you can see, so here you can see we have added a new item in the cart. So this is the output, but if you go and check the database, let's go and let's reset it. So here you can see we have cart items, and if you expand it, then you can see the 2 objects. So this is how we solved a problem of our cart. It's like one user can have only one cart, and this is how we are going to solve this problem. Now we have to solve another problem is, so this is the object, this is the item we have added. So this is a quantity 1, and both are the same item. So both are same product, and we have added twice within the cart items. So how we are going to solve this, let me show you. So here what we have to do, first we have identified that user exists or not. Now we are going to identify that item exists or not. So here we have got the complete cart because we are using find one function, right? So here we are going to say the cart dot find cart items. Say the cart items dot find. This is a JavaScript function, and we'll say here cart or just C. And here we are going to say C dot, so you can see this is a product. We are going to see if product exists or not. C dot product equals to. Now we are going to product in the cart items also. Here you can see we are using cart items, right? So here we are going to say request dot body dot cart items dot, and we'll say the product, right? So if this match, it means product already exists, else product is not exist. So we'll store in somewhere like product exist, is product, is item added, okay? So this is going to give an object, okay? So here we'll say is item added. If this is an empty object, it means it's false. So this is the product is not added, and let's take this. So you can see I'm repeating the code a lot. We'll try to solve this problem, don't worry. Let me cut from here and let's add over here. So here we have is item added. So if item is already added, then we are going to use different kind of code. So here we'll, instead of saying push, first so here we have is item added, and if we are checking for the user as well as we have to add one more check. Here we're going to say we'll say cart items. So this is a property. So you can see the like user, we have cart items as a property. So we'll say cart items, and you can select the sub property by using dot. So here we are going to select the product. So cart items dot product, and here we are going to specify the value. So you can see we have written a very long string over here. So let me cut from here and let's create a new variable const. Let's say product equals to this one, and now let's write over here product, and here we are going to say the product. Right now let's go down, is item added. Yeah, so here we are looking for user as well as this is another condition, if product exists or not, because we already know the product exists. That's why we have added this condition, right? You can also wrap this user with double quotes. Okay, that's fine, it's not a problem. Here we have push. Instead of push, we are going to set, we are going to update the item, and this is an array, right? So here cart items, and here instead of cart body items, we'll say an object, and let's spread the object over here. So we'll spread the object and we'll update the quantity. So we are going to say quantity so here we have a quantity. Let's remove this quantity, and we'll so how we are going to get the is item added is actually the item, right? So we'll say instead of item, we'll say it's simply item, copy, and let's paste over here, and here we are going to say item dot quantity plus 1, or whatever the quantity we have, request dot. So here we're going to say request dot body dot cart items dot quantity, right? Now let's save. Now let's check this code. We have written this cart find one and update twice. We'll solve this problem, don't worry. But let's first achieve what we are trying to achieve, right? So let's see if this will work. Then we'll update our code very soon. Okay. Now let's go and let's first go to the MongoDB and let's delete this item. Okay. Now let's go to the Postman. Okay, it's deleted. Now let's send the request to add the item into the cart, and you can see the cart item added, right? So now let's send the request again, and you can see we have got the response again. So this is what the current response we have got. Let's check the database, things updated or not. Now let's reset, and here you can see the object user is fine. Cart items, we have got an object, and here you can see the quantity is 2. Yes, it worked. Now let's send the request again, and this is actually giving you the previous detail as a response. Means after before the update you got the response, right? But if you reset over here, you can see cart items and object, and quantity is 3. So this is how we have added the cart. And let's say if there is a different item, let's say we can add another item. One user can buy multiple products, right? So let's add a product also. So here, as you can see, we have added name, quantity, price, description. Okay, description, spelling is wrong. Description, product picture of almost 5 pictures, category, right? We'll send the request, and you can see we have added the product. So it's Samsung Galaxy A71, price, quantity, description, product pictures, category, graded by, and everything we have added. So okay, now we have 2 products. Now let me copy the ID of the product. So let's copy and let's go to your add to cart section. Now let's give it a product ID over here. Okay, so for the same user we are going to add a different product. The cost is 30,000, right? 30,000. Now let's send the request, and you can see so we have got actually the previous response, I think. So let me verify this from the database. So let's go and check your carts. Okay, for the one user, right? Now let's cart items. Yes, we have 2 objects, right? First one is hopefully the quantity 3, and the second one is actually the quantity 1 we have just added now. So that's a cost 30,000. So guys, this is working fine. This is our cart API. We can add the cart, we can add the item into the cart, we can add multiple items into the cart. So we have handled these things very well.